Hello, anyone who may have stumbled across my channel. Usually I post silly comments and stuff, so I haven't been too busy other than not creating stuff. But I guess Insomnia caught up with me, and I came up across the topic of browser synths, like synthesizers, and there's this neat one called Zupiter. I figured since still in early alpha, I don't know how far development is, but it's kind of neat, and it's kind of like a VCV rack or other module synths, modular type setups, and but it doesn't rely on a particular OS to be able to run, and you don't have to have certain libraries installed or other dependencies. As long as you have a fairly recent web browser, it should be able to work. So you can do it on any computer and probably a lot of tablets and stuff too, so it's neat. But anyhow, it works on nodes. So we need an audio out node. That one you always need. And usually I do a multiply and a knob before going to audio out, just to act as a volume knob. Because otherwise it can get a little hectic. Don't have mic feedback on my computer, so whatever you're getting is from my computer speaker to the mic rather than a loopback function or whatever. I know I can set it up, but it's just a little tricky and not that easy or convenient. I'm being lazy, so if the sound isn't perfect, it's more my recording setup than the actual software here. So yeah, I do this, and this is volume. So yeah, I always do that. Or you don't have to, but I highly recommend it. And if you want a gain boost, you can make the max val higher than 1. But I'm not going to worry about that yet. So you can add, well, let's see, there's noise, and this generates a noise signal, and you patch it in. You gotta hit play for this thing to play sounds, so I'm going to do that. Turn the volume up. And as you see, it generates white noise. So that's like one of the simple setups. Delete that. And then there's also, what is it? There's an oscilloscope that lets you monitor things. So I can add a clock. Do that. Just hook that to the scope. Hit play, and it'll show you that the clock actually just creates pulses. And if I were to hook the clock up to the input, you can hear 130 pulses per second, 240. So basically, each pulse is a beat per second. But the clock is used to drive other things. Let's see. So if I add a mono sequencer, this sequencer can output stuff and use the clock. Like, hold on. Clock, like so. So now I can do. Right now it's not playing, but the clock keeps going, I guess. Yeah, it is playing. Let's see. Oh, you know what it is? I need another node. Hold on. Because the values of the frequency is actually a frequency to drive a sine node. So some of the nodes are labeled. You can still hook up anything to anything, but I don't want to create a node. It's a little tricky like that. If you don't click on it exactly right, it'll consider clicking on a space. So hook up the patch, because this will output like a note value like 1600 as a constant value for a note that pulsates at 1600 times per second if you were to look at it on the scope. So this would be a constant value for each of the notes in your I don't know, you have to play with it to understand what's going on there. Hook this up, and now I should be getting notes. Generally, I have to move the scale up. It should be doing something. Yeah, it's just not loud here. I can turn out volume. I can make a gain function here anyway, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do like max value of 2. I want 3. It's a bit dark in here. I can't see that well with the lights. For some reason, it's not doing a whole lot. Oh, there it goes. Just the scale of it, I guess. In this sequencer, you can also set up, have more frequencies. Chromatic. The full scale. And you can put different sequences into it. It really dropped down off the bottom of the screen. You change the setting up. So you can kind of see what's going on. If I add another scope, the gate will give out like an impulse on each note. So each time there's a note, it will create a pulse. You can do interesting things like that too. So what's something funky I can do? A filter maybe? Use that impulse to multiply. I want to turn the volume down when I do that. Alright. It's doing it again. It's annoying that way. I have to click on it just right. I need to add knobs, so the only thing is the UI on this, you can't really, you can drag things to move around, but if you try to use your mouse, it doesn't really let you drag. Oop! And I went backwards in the browser doing it. Where was I? Can you go back to where I was? Yeah, it's kind of funky in how it does projects. I didn't have a save project, so apparently it's gone. Yeah, UI on this needs work. Because you have to use the scroll bars in your browser to get around this whole space here. Which is kind of a pain in the butt, but I was going to say, set up stuff like clock, mono sequence, chromatic. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to. It seems easier to go this way than it does to go that way. I don't know why. It's funky. I'm going to add a knob for gate time. Where's the knob? There it is. Oh. Alright. Increase the max value it can go to. Add some scopes. Where are they? There we are. Over in that corner. Yeah, and going to say is I could use the gate impulse. Just making stuff up. So I need audio out again. I need a multiply. Yeah, you can set up stuff like panning if you got the time to do it. All that, but I'm just setting up something quick to show. Alright, so net. I wonder if the guy who made this is still working on it. It needs stuff like node groups. If you ever use stuff that lets you group nodes like Blender, you'll know why those are handy. Because you can get rid of all this clutter and put it in groups. And I would suggest, if such a feature were implemented, keep the knobs exposed if you put them inside a group. So you can just like go to like a little knob rack and keep that in a module that you can feed inputs and outputs to. That would be nice, but what I'm saying is this gets a little hairy when you spread it out, because you can't really navigate this area by dragging, as far as I know, unless you're dragging a module that goes in the setup, which is kind of a pain. You have to use the scroll bars, as far as I know. Maybe on a tablet it's different, but on a regular browser it's not that great. So what was I doing? I was going to do the filter, gate, and I was going to have the frequency go to the sine wave, yeah. And why did it disconnect? I don't know. And I was going to multiply stuff, I think. Not sure if this is the right way to do it, but it's an interesting way to do it. Sometimes you figure out stuff by doing goofy crap anyways in here. And you have to create an account on this to like actually save your projects. So some apps like Beatbox are a little better in that regard because they create a hash that's saved in your link, and you don't need to create an account to save projects. You just click like save project and it creates a big hash. Well, this one doesn't do it. You need an account, which I think would get heavy if a lot of people wanted to use this. Because I don't see this website developing that much yet. Especially since I think it's an open project. And the Reddit is kind of like locked up there. I mean, there is a Reddit, but they don't seem to be letting new users in right now. What the story in that is. But it's neat. I stumbled across this. So I can add a filter. I think the good values are from like 0.4 is the minimum to something like 0.95. Just set ranges, because then you get more use out of the range of your knob if you set a range than if you have a range that's not so great for a certain function. Another knob like resonance. So I'm going to put the scope to the main output. And another scope here, so you can see kind of what it's doing to the impulse gate. And then I'm going to hit play. Right now it's not generating anything. Probably because I need to change the gate time. And I'm going to bring this to a scale that I can hear. Should be. And volume. And I'm going to add some gain on the volume, so I'm See the sound change? Yeah, weird stuff like that. Wondering why the gate pulses aren't a. I guess it could be the. Yeah, the gate time. Okay. Now let's get weird. And we can do stuff like adding or subtracting. So now we go nub. And I'm going to do a negative value just to see. Stuff like that. So you can see that part ends up overdriven, and that's why I say you gotta have a volume. There's no way to set like a cutoff or anything that I know of. But you can do some really weird stuff in this. It's kind of neat. But it might help to create an account, but even playing around without it is still kind of cool for ideas and stuff. It doesn't have anything like logic gates. Basically, you end up adding or multiplying waves to kind of just create that function. But like I said, without node groups, this gets real hectic pretty fast, especially when you can't scroll it like usually. Well, you can scroll it up and down with your scroll wheel, but side to side, there's no dragging as far as I know of. Yeah, if I hold down shift, it doesn't do anything. Or space bar is that. Yeah, there's not really any hotkeys, so yeah. As far as I know, there's no way to drag this other than scroll bars. But it's still a lot of fun to play with. And if you browse projects, there's like stuff like this. Yeah, I don't have anything saved, so I don't care. But like, there's weird stuff like this if you play it. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Somebody had a lot of time to spend on it, even with the bad UI. I won't say it's awful, but it's not great. It needs work. Again, this is like supposedly an alpha project, given the comments I read on the guy read by the guy who made it said it was still early alpha. But I haven't seen too much on it since like a year or two ago. Still, Zupiter's pretty cool. I thought it would be interesting to show it off. And that's it for now. So if you like LMMS, or if you like Beatbox, or you like acid synth, this is another thing to check out if you got time to spare. I just thought I'd show it. Alright, have fun. And if you got a project, don't forget to put it on YouTube too. Maybe this thing will get traction. I think it's cool. It could use some traction, you know? Alright, later.